only one word can describe this episode. Marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. I want to clap to that performance I just witnessed with Shigatsu. Damn. This series, man, I cannot believe I was going to skip over this series. I still can't believe I was going to skip over this. This is greatness. Oh my god, this is really, really freaking good. The beauty in the music, the feels, the vibes, the atmosphere, the mood, everything flows together into a marvelous, marvelous episode. That's exactly what this episode was. And personally, I can't believe the emotions I feel after this episode. It's just simply beautiful, man. And it's so much better than even the previous performance. This episode is a stepping stone above the rest of the episodes that so far we have seen. The beauty in the performance and the animation on those scenes and the way they used the symbolism in this episode with the underwater aspect with Arima just playing the piano. Oh my god, I love the symbolism. I love the choices of the way they foreshadowed certain events in this episode. I just love it all. This episode, damn, fucking great. Now, with this ending conclusion of this episode, it seems like Kaori, has some form of medical issues. As we saw last week in the last episode, I didn't really mention it because there was not much information on it, because it just showed a hospital and that was it. Well, we find out at the end of this episode that, our main female character passes out on the stage and something's going on. So hopefully nothing too bad is really wrong with her. Maybe she just has a frail body. That is a possibility because we see this a lot in anime, so maybe it's just because she has a frail body. I don't know, but overall, the ending, I'm not going to talk much about that because there's just not enough information for me to really talk much about it, but besides speculate what she has. Actually, I do want to talk about something before I actually get off that entire event. I wonder if the reason why she passed out was the same exact reason why, Arima's mother died and passed away. Maybe she's, sick with the same disease or something. That would be pretty fucked up if it was. But anyways, moving past that. Okay, let's move past that ending. This episode starts off rather slow, and then it gets into the bit with the performance and almost towards the middle half of the episode, and then the later half of the episode focuses on the brilliant, marvelous performance we saw Arima and Kaori actually perform in this episode. Now, one thing I will say, I was just sitting there screaming at my screen when I saw Arima fall into depression, and you see the freaking just water coming in around him, drowning him in the sea as he's trying to play the notes. I was just screaming at the screen. I was like, fuck, play! Because the music sounds so damn good. It sounds so freaking good. I was getting into the performance, and then he just slowly went down into shit, and I'm like, you fuck. Yeah, I was getting so mad with that, and then, thank God, he turned it around and he actually started playing. And there's something I want to mention. I don't know if I'm correct or not with this, but I think I noticed something very interesting about this episode. Supposedly, from what I understood, which I could be wrong, but it seemed like, as we know, Arima can't really hear the sounds of his piano. He can't hear it when he plays. But in this episode, he specifically stated after that he could hear Kaori play. So maybe the reason how he can play in the future and future concerts and performances is because he can hear Kaori and he knows what to play. Maybe that's it. Because he was playing based on his memory of the notes in this episode. He wasn't really playing because he could hear the notes automatically at the end of this episode. He was playing from memory, and he was also listening to the notes that Kaori was playing too. So right there, I think that's going to be the major element for the future of this series. Maybe his new sound, the new noise he hears when he plays the piano, is Kaori or his fellow performer. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, besides that entire bit, I just want to say one thing real quick. The beauty with the performance, the way the music clashed, the piano and the violin, I was just fucking oh my god. I've watched a handful of music anime. And from the ones I watched, they are really damn good, like Full Moon. Full Moon, holy shit, that series, man. Tear-jerking ending. But anyways, besides that series, getting off the topic of that, the way the clash of the music is of this series, it reminds me of Full Moon a lot. And I love that. That is one thing I do love about music anime. I'm not the biggest fan to music anime, as I've said before, but I do have to admit, when I need to compliment something, I will definitely compliment it. The music is just downright fucking amazing for this. the aspect of the classical music with the piano and the violin and the way the notes are played with each other, you can actually feel in your ears like the music clashing with each other in this episode, and that, it's hard to actually have something like that happen. I think the studio, A1 Pictures, I think is currently animating this. I could be wrong, but I think it's A1 Pictures. A1 Pictures is doing a damn good job with this, or whatever anime studio that's doing it. They're doing a damn good job with this series, and I'm actually questioning something. One thing I've never really understood is the manga to these type of series. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the manga's bad, don't get me wrong on that. I'm saying is, I never understood the manga because, I mean, we see the life and the music in this episode. We personally saw the life of how the notes and music are played and clash together. We can hear it. But in the manga, I'm just curious, how does the manga handle these events? Like, how does it portray the same emotion and atmosphere that the anime portrays? Or is this one of those type of series to where the anime surpasses the manga? I'm just curious, any manga readers of this series, please let me know. I'm just curious, how do they manage to retain the atmosphere and feels of the music in the manga? Since you can't really hear it, you got to imagine it. So that's my question. I just wonder how they managed to replicate that. So anyways, episode, one thing I do want to mention is the overall beginning part of this episode, very depressing. We find out a little bit more of, Arima's dark past, for instance, with his mother, how his mother forced him to play the piano constantly, and what pressures he was dealing with all around him, people talking about him, saying he couldn't have fun as a normal child, he studied all the time, he couldn't go to sleep until he got certain notes correct by his mother. It's just, he had a really terrible past with piano, so you can see why he has some form of trauma. You can't really blame Arima for the trauma he has for not being able to hear notes, because, I mean, we have never personally, probably majority of us are watching this series, I know for a fact I haven't felt like something like that my entire life. I haven't had someone do that to me. So personally, I can't understand his feelings, but I do know most likely it's logical why he's acting like he is. So, overall, episode 9 out of 10. I'm going to say right now, 9 out of 10 episode. It was brilliant. It was a brilliant episode, and I want to see more. I really want to see more with the series. It did a really good job of impressing me this entire episode, and hopefully it continues to do that, because this series, man, I'm looking forward to it more and more by the week and passing episode of Shigatsu. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this week's episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? What was your favorite moments about it? And I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.